Welcome everyone to our Cafecito Cultural. Hello everyone and welcome to our Culture and Diversity conversational panel of this professional learning community group. I'm Rosa Bell, founder of this wonderful group of professionals that works together to bring culture and value to our classes. Today, we are pleased to have with us our friend Richard Meij. Richard, I'm gonna read your biography and please correct me if it's any mistakes on the road, okay? So Richard Meij has been a teacher of multiple languages for the past 31 years and has taught 7 different languages in 5 different countries through those years. He's the consummate language educator, polyglot, linguistic, speech pathologist, dancer, educational technologist, and was named Connecticut Language Teacher of the Year in 2019. Congratulations. He's also an anti-racist and social justice and equity advocate and passionately advocates for both students and teacher voices in education. He believes that teachers perform works of the heart every day. Richard used the unique combination of his multicultural, multilingual background, ingenuity, insight, humor, his skills in multiple educational technology, and his expertise in language acquisition, linguistic, and speech language science to bring the 21st century skills, international-mindedness, and world readiness skills to his classroom in order to connect the world language and cultures to his students' personal worlds and experiences. In his community, he endlessly advocates for equitable access to high-quality language education for all learners, fueled by his belief that learning language is everyone's birthright. He continuously challenged insidiously persistent false ratios and ethnic narrative around who can learn language well and present counter narrative grounded in science and lived experience in realities. Richard is native speaker of Dutch and Papiamento, a near native speaker of English and Spanish and Portuguese, and a proficient speaker of French and German, and is currently working on improving his proficiency in Italian, Jamaican Patois, and Swahili. Richard, I need to breathe. Wow, so many languages, so many work done. I just have, you see, do you hear me struggling with English? And then I'm native speaking Spanish. Now I'm imagining, how can you do this? So many languages, and I want to be one of your students. They having a big gift to having you as a teacher. But I want you to share with us a little bit more about you personally. Who is Richard Meij? What are you originally from, and where do you live now?
So, thank you for having me. And it's an honor to be with you here this evening, today. So, my story is not unlike perhaps most polyglots in the world. I was born and raised in Aruba, which is a very ethno-racially diverse, multilingual, and multicultural Dutch island off the coast of South America. And I grew up there speaking 4 languages to which I was exposed at an early age and in which I was engaged. And those 4 languages were Dutch, Papiamento, English, and Spanish. By the end of high school, I was fluent and literate in these 4 languages. At the university level, I studied and learned French, German, Italian, Brazilian Portuguese, Japanese, and Greek in that order. And I did so for several years while I majored in speech language pathology and applied linguistics. While at the university, I had the opportunity to live and work at the University of Sofia in Bulgaria for 1 summer. While there, I studied and learned enough Bulgarian to meet my basic communication needs. A few years after graduation, I studied Tagalog on my own and lived with a Filipino family in the Philippines for 1 summer. Today, I speak 8 languages with varying degrees of fluency, and I work full-time as a world languages teacher, a private language instructor, workshop and webinar presenter, motivational speaker, and at times an interpreter and translator. As a result of my experiences, my work within and beyond the classroom is always fueled by passion and by the conviction that indeed all learners of every age, background, ethnicity, ability, gender, orientation, and socioeconomic status have the innate ability to learn languages and to develop cultural competence at any time throughout their lives, no matter who they are, where they live, and how they are perceived by others. However, unfortunately, far too often, this is not the conviction of many institutions in dominant and normative society. Oftentimes, language learning privilege is readily available to members of dominant groups in normative society, while marginalized group members are in many ways discouraged or hindered from accessing the same opportunities. This accomplished, this is accomplished through insidious messaging to them, through images that simply leave them out of the picture, and practices that exclude them or limit their access and burden their participation. It is for this reason, today, as a language educator and applied linguist, the founder of CelebrateLanguages.com, and the co-founder of the Northeast Festival of Languages, I engage tirelessly in the work of facilitating language learning and also developing cultural competence through the lenses of anti-racist education, social justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I do so passionately and without compromise in and beyond my classroom, in my community, and wherever I go, simply by being present in the spaces and places as a successful language learner myself and as a multilingual Afro-Latino Black man in the United States of America, always with the goal to counteract the persistent messaging and narratives that particularly African American learners are sent in insidious ways. I leverage my website, social media platforms, and community talks and workshops to raise the awareness of truly including all learners in the rewarding and valuable opportunities to learn languages and to develop cultural competence, as all learners innately and ethically, rightfully, justly and equitably deserve. Language learning empowers and it enables greater freedoms and joys throughout life and develops empathy for others. The value in learning languages and developing cultural competence is therefore translated into all learners becoming better thinkers and communicators, more cognitively flexible, more adept problem solvers, and to ultimately becoming more fully, healthily, and empathetic, globally ready citizens and fulfilling their human birthright of learning languages. That's a little bit
Amazing.
about myself in a nutshell.
Amazing, Richard. You have explained this clearly, your goals and how the reason why you have your website. And I love the fact that you are sharing that with us today. I just share with everyone the link that they can take a look while you was talking and explaining us about your work perfectly. Richard, so what language are you teaching now? And do you have the opportunity to teach all of the language that you know, that you speak?
Currently, I'm teaching Spanish, and I teach at an international baccalaureate school, and it's a K through 8 school. So I teach little children in kindergarten all the way through 8th grade, and it's Spanish right now. At times throughout the year, I have the opportunity to teach English. That's privately to the primarily the Brazilian community, and I also at times have the opportunity to teach Portuguese to Americans who do business in Brazil or who are moved to Brazil for a short period of time, and they need to gain some language skills in Portuguese. French, occasionally I do tutoring. I live nearby a university, and at the university there are students who are studying French, and so at times I'm contacted to tutor French to college students. Those are the languages I currently still have the opportunity to teach.
Amazing. So I'm gonna give a few seconds, few minutes for the audience and see if at this time anybody have any questions or comments for Richard. You can unmute yourself. Okay. Right now, let's continue then. So my next question to you is, how do you expose your students to a diverse concept of Afro descendants?
I do so in a variety of ways. I first reframe language learning as a human birthright to be reclaimed by all people. I challenge and disrupt current and pervasively false and singular narratives and set up students to discover counter narratives that are ethno-racially inclusive of themselves, that are diverse, anti-Black, and anti-racist. I also invite them to go on a journey of discovery of Afro descendants across the Spanish speaking world with me by exposing them to real world issues that impact all people, including and particularly Afro descendants in the Spanish speaking world who have been historically marginalized or oftentimes completely erased or treated as invisible. I use music, songs, videos, print to inspire and awaken my students to new ethnocultural and ethno-racial lives and realities and perspectives across Latin America.
That is fantastic. I am doing also, I shared that with you because I'm doing also the same. The students don't have access to many of what you have mentioned because unfortunately they are not that deep into any books that we're using right now to teach language. A little bit here and there, but the knowledge that we have sometimes for being native from a particular Latin American country or for more stories that we have done research, we are able to facilitate this for students. That's what is important and the reason why we call to this cafecito culturales or cultural coffees. So we have a little space to share with other educators and help each other step by step into incorporating culture and diversity in our classes, which is very important if we want to help students to become a people in the future, that they will be tolerant, they will not fall into this anti-racist stuff movement that I think sometimes is the key point of why we got so many violence and problems around the world. So how do you contribute at your professional level with world language teachers to integrate, to help them to integrate and culture and diversity in their curriculum, therefore their classes?
So for more than 20 years, I've been developing and presenting workshops through our state World Language Teachers Organization, which is the CT Cold, and which teachers in Connecticut regularly attend. And in addition, I always challenge approaches and narratives that are not inclusive, nor ethnoculturally diverse, and that do not honor and celebrate everyone's culture. Particularly the cultures and cultural perspectives of marginalized people in society. I start by telling my own story and assert that if you do not hear or know my story, you cannot know me, nor much less understand me, my actions, my fears, my joys, nor my aspirations. The second thing I do is in my local community, Hartford in Connecticut, Whenever opportunities arise, I speak up and use my voice to raise awareness of the criticality of cultural competence needed among all of us. And I include myself in that. Teachers, non-teachers, students, and frankly, everyone alike who is a member of the community. Prior to COVID-19, I used to organize language and culture community talks as a board member of the Scribes Institute. The Scribes Institute is a for non-profit organization in my community here. And so part of the Scribes Institute is that they provide language awareness workshops. And typically I've been in charge of that portion because I'm on the board of that organization as the language person.
Yeah.
So I get to organize these with the support of the organization. The founder, Dr. Aaron Lewis, and I are together the co-founders of the Northeastern Festival of Languages, which is held annually. And the third thing that I do is through my website and being very active on various social media platforms, I regularly provide and share resources which are free um, to to inform and to challenge audiences to think differently. And that's the key word, to think differently and to see more authentically and honestly, um, you know, different perspectives, and to engage in conversations and exchanges that are at times very challenging, sometimes heated, and oftentimes uncomfortable.
Yes. Richard, you have an amazing social media platforms. I'm just sharing them in the chat so people can save that and visit and go and do research. And you have a website from celebratelanguage.com and celebratelanguage.com, birthright, Afro Latinos also with the same address. Then you have Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook, Flickboard, and then I share also your resume so that they can take a look. And if you guys have any questions at this time, we're almost done with today's Cafecito Cultural. You can unmute your phone, your microphone, and share with us any comments, questions for Richard. Let me check on the chat. And go ahead. Yes.
So I just am glad I found you. I teach in West Dayton in a predominantly African-American community. And I just on my own have tried to pull things together that I could. I loved your post on Vicente Guerrero. I was unaware of that history. So just thrilled to have found you. I've been just doing my best on my own to share what I can.
Richard.
I'd like to share this. There's this book here. I don't know if you've come across it.
The book on language learning. Okay. No, I'm not familiar with that.
So this is one of the books that I share with my African-American students in particular. This was written by an African-American man who was convinced that he needed to do something as an African-American man to re-engage African-American students into learning languages. And so he's written this book, and it's very inexpensive. It can be bought on Amazon or on his website. But this has been very effective in the classroom. I've shared this with students, and just to have them read it, for extra credit, just to help them see themselves as language learners.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Richard, can you, after I finish with the interview with you, I'm going to post it in Facebook, and maybe you want to put that on the comments so people have access to the book and because
Yes.
you have to type all information in there, and make
Yes.
sure to say that it can be found in Amazon. I'm also going to
Yes.
share the Facebook link. If you are not yet a member of the group that we have, Culture and Diversity Professional Learning Community, you can click on it and just answer 2 questions, and you will be receiving an admission to the group. Anybody have any other questions for Richard? Any comment? All right. So Richard, thank you very much for sharing. Oh, wait a minute. It says Nahisi Codes speaks French and has living friends and share clips of him. Are you reading? Yeah. I share
Yeah.
clips of him talking French with students.
Yeah,
There are also,
it's
that's excellent. On my website, there is a page dedicated to celebrities who, well-known celebrities who students be familiar with. And I also have African American celebrities and Black celebrities who are multilingual. Kobe Bryant speaks Italian and Spanish. So I have video clips of him speaking Italian and Spanish. Donna Summer spoke German fluently. So there are clips on YouTube and on my website of Donna Summer actually speaking German. There are many
Awesome.
others who are African Americans that we didn't know spoke a foreign language, but I've through my research over the years, I've gathered all of these and put them together and share them with students so that students again can see models of themselves out there who look like
Yes.
them, speak multiple languages.
That is pretty good, because now they are engaged in class because they see a picture similar of them, and it's like call more the attention of the students to participate in class, like, oh, wait a minute, this is not a culture that I'm not identifying with, this is part of my culture as well. And then that's because sometimes I get educators that ask me like how I can engage students in language in the beginning, because maybe the grammar, or because maybe this, but I think, or I also believe sometimes that it depends on what you are presenting to them. If they're interested, students' interest in what you have, and it's good to ask them as well what they would like to see, or a little feedback at the end of the course, so the next students probably also have more. But what you have done is amazing. Thank you so much for your work, and how do you have be able to put these clips together for your students.
Welcome.
Very
Thank you.
good. Yeah. Any other comment or question? Remember, you can unmute yourself or put it on the chat and we can read it.
well, I have found that I try to find real high interest topics. Sorry, my light is really messy. They love we love reading about animals. Technology is great because there's so many cognates and they're so interested in that. What's the fastest car? What's the newest gadget? So sometimes they'll say, why are we talking about this in Spanish class? I say, it's a language. You can talk about anything.
Anything. Yes, that's correct. That is correct. And you was asking if the clips on his website. I don't know if I'm receiving the text kind of like slow here with the internet. Do you
Yes,
read that?
the video clips are on my website. It's aftercelebratelanguages.com /celebs CELEBS .html, and there's a page there with the pictures of and the names of those celebrities, and some of them are linked to video clips, some of them not yet. And but the videos can all be found if you do a YouTube search for let's say Donna Summer. There's a video clip of her, but let's say you were looking for Donna Summer, you would say Donna Summer speaking German. You type that into YouTube, and there will be several clips that will show up.
Which one
Um,
do you, they asking if you can type the one that you say celebrity
yes,
is,
yeah, yeah. Let me type it in the chat.
okay, while you typing that, I think Mary have a question, Mary.
Hi, Richard. How are you?
Hi, good.
Hi. Good evening. I would like to know if your school principal will give you like permission to
Mhm.
visit my school so you can have a conference or give a lecture to the students that I'm teaching and Mr. Porra, the other teacher teach, because
Mhm.
we have lots of uh, Afro
For the
students,
African
students?
American.
yeah, for the sentence students. And I believe that it will be a great idea if, I don't know, can you do that? Is that possible for you or?
Yes, yes, it is possible. Through your principal, if your principal wrote an email or letter to my principal requesting a professional development at his school, that surely will be granted.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
so yeah, then I'm going to this week have a conversation with him to ask
yes.
him. Yes. Yes, yeah.
Outstanding,
Thank you.
outstanding.
Thanks.
There
Thank you,
is
Mary.
thank you for your question. There's also another way to increase visibility and inclusiveness of diverse learners, especially for students of color, is through music. So if you
Mhm.
use songs and music, singing in the classroom,
Yes.
it's always good to provide diversity. And so, for example, I do a lot of singing in my classes, and I include Ruben Rada from Uruguay, who's a popular singer. And his music videos on YouTube are hilarious. They're engaging entertainment. They're funny. And students, when I taught at the high school level, they loved Ruben Rada. He is a black man from Uruguay. He's Afro-descendiente from Uruguay. Quique Neira from Chile. Now, many people would think that Chile is hyper white and doesn't have any Afro descendants, but Quique Neira considers himself Afro-descendiente. His music oftentimes is reggae type music in Spanish, and some of his topics also are, connect to Afro-descendants. And then Las Hijas del Sol is a duo, two women who sing, and they're from Guinea Equatorial, where Spanish is the official language, and this is a country on the west coast of Africa. It's a small country, but they speak Spanish. And so Las Hijas del Sol were extremely popular in Europe, very popular. And that's how I found out about them. They had concerts in the Netherlands, in Germany, everywhere. It just happened that they weren't popular in the United States, so many Americans don't know about them. But here are two Black women, this definitively African, and singing in Spanish with beautiful lyrics, and the music is really engaging and fiery. And so this is a way also to let students see that Latino or Hispanic is not just one look, that it is diverse. And that, and so that's one way also to do justice. French, German, Hebrew, Greek, whatever language it is.
Yes, and I like that you mentioned that today, because on the next cafecitos that we're going to have, we have included a lot of Afro descendants from different Latin American countries. So that's what I'm saying, that don't miss the next cafecitos that we're going to have, the next cultural coffees, because they are coming with an amazing amount of information available for educators to learn, to take your notes, the websites, and make sure that you get the links from every presenter, because that's how we share here, and that's how we get to learn more, to can present that to our students. Vilo say that she will be looking for them, and there is a group in Colombia too that she cannot think about the name just now. Okay, do you mean someone that is a female that sings on that group, like kind of like reggae mix?
It's a woman and her brother and her husband, I think. I don't
think
know, the
it's called
name just completely has gone out of my head. I'm trying to look for it.
It's kind of difficult. It's like Cumbo.
Yeah, yes.
I see.
Oh,
I know
goodness.
what you're saying. Yeah, the music is real good. What they
Yeah.
have, we just got to be careful a little bit with the images.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but the rhythm
Always.
is good. Yeah, the rhythm is good. What she's doing right now, and they just, for me, they just like popped one day and got famous and sharing that music. I mean, Colombia have a lot of Afro descendants. It's another story in there as well. Is I'm going there next summer, and I really want to record as much as possible from Colombia because it's material that we bring to our classes.
Colombia has a cartoon series called Guillermina y Candelario, and it's Afro descendant. It's a series, a cartoon series. It is fantastic. It's phenomenal. So I currently use that at the elementary school, but it definitely can be used at the high school level, even college level, because it is cartoon. It's the story of a family, but it's an Afro-Latino family. And so it's my students were really fascinated when they saw this because they see an Afro-Latino family in cartoon and they talk about issues in their communities. And so it's just amazing. It's
Yeah.
worth looking up.
Yeah, we have an amazing, a huge variety of material free. And some other ones you have to pay, but the majority free to integrate to our classes so that the students that are not Afro-descendant understand about the culture, and the students that are Afro-descendants find their path and see their origins and feel proud of it, because that's one of the things. I mean, is for them to feel proud of who they are, for them to identify themselves, and for others to learn how to respect the values and cultures of others as well. Thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation today. Anybody have any questions? Would like to say anything before we close?
What is the name of the cartoons again, please?
Guillermina y Candelario.
Yeah, I'm
Guillermina
gonna type it in
Candelario.
the chat.
Yes, he's gonna type it in
Yeah,
the chat.
Guillermina y Candelario, and the videos are on YouTube, but they are also on our site.
Okay. In YouTube, we can find everything lately.
You can find them on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah. Take note, my friends, because this is a huge material. Yeah. And when you mentioned about Afro-Chilenos, I was just having a conversation with a professor, and she says no more, not too much. If I'm recalling, I know when she heard this this conversation we have today later, she might gonna remember what we was talking about. That Afro-Chilenos, you don't see too many. So I put it as a homework for me to go find out more about Afro-Chilenos. You got material like that on your website, right?
If you look up on YouTube, yeah. So on YouTube, if you do a search for Afro Chilenos, you will find a lot of videos, and so Chile, much like many Latin American countries, during their census every 10 years when they do census, to skip Black neighborhoods, not to count them. So even people in their own countries are unaware of the population size of Afro descendants in their own country. You know, Venezuela is right near Aruba. And when I was younger, we used to go to Venezuela. Many Black people. There aren't many Black people in Venezuela. Venezuela has a large Afro-descendant from view.
Mhm.
So when tourists go there, they just don't see them. They're off the beaten path. And so even the people who live in these countries don't see their Afro-descendants on a regular basis.
That is correct. They are like marginalized somewhere in there. People don't get to see them, especially if they go with as a tourist and not like for real estate and investigate more about it or try to research more about it. That's then when we come and we integrate that in our classes so the students are aware of what is out there. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Okay, well, once again, Richard, thank you very much for sharing with our Cafecito Cultural today. And I also want to thank everyone who came today and shared this time with us and Richard and learned so much about him and about his work and how he advocates for students and teachers. And I just want to remind everyone that this Wednesday, November the 3rd, we will have a new Cafecito Cultural at 7:30 p.m. East time and 1:30 Pacific time. We're going to be celebrating my country, Panama, the date of the Independence Day, November the 3rd. So I hope everybody be able to join us on Wednesday, and thank you very much. Adios.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.